Strong and optimistic words there we heard previously from Vice President J.D. Vance in Israel tonight. This is about the negotiations for the next phase of the peace plan amid a very fragile ceasefire. Joining me now to assess the latest developments is Walid Phares, foreign policy expert and author of the book Future Jihad. Walid, great to have you back with us. So in Israel today, Vice President J.D. Vance expressing optimism, this amid ups and downs in the implementation of the Gaza peace deal. Let's take a quick look.
What we've seen the past week gives me great optimism the ceasefire is going to hold. And if we get from where we were a week ago to a long-term, durable peace between Israel and Gaza, there are going to be hills and valleys. There are going to be moments where it looks like things aren't going particularly well. But given that, and given the history of conflict, I think that everybody should be proud of where we are today.
Now, is there anything to read into the Vice President making his way back to Israel so soon? And what are your key takeaways from the talks today?
Well, definitely the Vice President and even the President have been spending time and effort to reassure the public, the American public, the international public, that the plan is good, that there will be a future, that there will be a reconstruction, that there will be peace. All of that we all agree with. I mean, the Sharm el-Sheikh coalition is very strong. It has many Arab, Middle Eastern, international, European countries, and they all want to go forward. The problem with the peace process, to make it in simple terms, is Hamas. It's not Egypt, it's not Saudi Arabia, it's not the UAE, it's not Jordan or France or England. It's really Hamas. Hamas has not been clear yet as to what is the final outcome. Are they going to disarm? Are they going to become a political party like other political parties? Are they going to accept the new committee that is going to be managing Gaza? It looks like Hamas said in the beginning, and that's what the president mentioned, through their representatives or mediators, namely maybe Qatar and Turkey and others, that they will adhere. What they've done is release the hostages, which was a great achievement by the president, but then they followed the Israelis as they were withdrawing and established themselves, started this execution of their opponents, and then now are saying, we're not sure we're going to remit our arms. We want to discuss the two-state solution. So they change course, and I'm pleased that the president is telling them, look, you're going to disarm or we will disarm you.
And to that point, the vice president today during the press conference talked about the complexities of just getting what the bodies of some of the hostages and the remains that are still buried deep in tunnels. He didn't put a deadline on the talks for the disarmament of Hamas. What do you see as a realistic timeline?
There are two opinions here. Opinion number one, if the vice president really has the information, and I'm sure he does with all the agencies and our allies and Israel, that is very difficult to extract the bodies. And the Israelis are very adamant about getting the bodies. It's very important in their culture and for their society. Then if they need to take time, they should take time. But the essence here is to inform the public that the problem is Hamas, that we bring the bodies, or it's going to take longer time to bring the bodies. The essence is, will Hamas be in conformity? Will they accept the new agreement? I've heard in my conversations with many Arab analysts and journalists in the Arab media over the past few days that there is now a tendency among Hamas leaders and their allies in the region saying, look, we're going to change what happened in Sharm el-Sheikh. That's serious. That would be dangerous. If they come and say, well, we're not going to really disarm. We're going to take over the police stations and maybe we'll be legitimized instead of being disarmed. This is where the president, the American public, the vice president, and everybody else in the region would be nervous. And I can add one more point. It looks like some of the countries who were at Sharm el-Sheikh, very close allies, like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Bahrain, the UAE, are now also nervous about the fact that Hamas may delay, Hamas may try to sabotage the peace process.
I want to get your thoughts on some of the other Arab nations and the role that they might play. Here's another clip from the vice president talking about the president's 20-point vision for Gaza.
It's supported not just by Israel, but by all of our Gulf Arab friends. It's that Hamas has to disarm. It's that Hamas has to actually behave itself, and that Hamas while all the fighters can be given some sort of clemency, they're not going to be able to kill each other, and they're not going to be able to kill their fellow Palestinians.
So how much sway do these other Arab nations have over Hamas?
I'm going to be direct and as fast as possible. It is enough for Qatar and Turkey to order Hamas to stand down. I'm not even mentioning the Islamic regime in Iran, because they are really, from the background backing Hamas. But at this point in time, if Hamas has any recognition, if Western leaders, US leaders are talking to Hamas or about Hamas, it's because of their Arab backers. So all what it needs now is at least those two countries, those two governments can put immense pressure. And I feel when the president or the vice president are talking about our friends in the region who have sway on Hamas, it's about those two countries. But one has to think about, what if Hamas does not disarm? Now we've heard in the introduction of this newscast that Israel may be open to start business in their own zone. I'm writing an article to be published tomorrow in the Independent in Britain, talking about East Gaza and West Gaza. Are we going to get there? Or in fact, Hamas is going to stop the process as a whole? So there are many choices that could be made still.
Now, when you're talking about disarming Hamas, when you look at the rubble and the images, the damage that has been done, and you think about Iran being, bombed and sort of siphoned off and cutting off their ties, where are they getting arms? Are there arms left? And where might these munitions come from at this point?
That's the best question of the day. Actually, Hamas has gathered so much weapons and ammunition in depots and tunnels. That's one of the reasons why Hamas do not want to see the process starting, because if the process of cleaning up and then investigating all these tunnels, destroying these tunnels starts, Hamas would lose its raison d'etre. It would lose actually the weapons, the depot, the ammunition. They don't have a port. They don't have an airport. So I don't imagine that the Islamic regime in Iran, on the one hand, or other players in the region would be arming and supplying Hamas. Hamas has a capital. It was the hostages. It has been depleted now. That now they have the weapons. And that's why, let me jump to another question you may have asked before. That's why they are executing those young men. Those young men were the organizers of the demonstrations and protests, if we all recall, a few months ago, against Hamas. This is the next opposition. This is the next Gaza. So Hamas is using their weapons, and they are using also the time remaining to eliminate their future opposition.
Walid Phares, as always, greatly appreciate your insights. Thank you.